Go.
Third and 29. Jones steps up, tries to avoid it, buys some time. Jones uncorks, deep ball, touchdown on the ricochet. Purdy back to throw, pressure coming, steps away, looking to run, and he walks it in for the touchdown. Throw on 4th and 18. He's given time. He wants Jefferson. Jacobs with running room right up the middle. Jacobs is on his way. The Raiders are going to win this game. Lays it up and it's intercepted. Trayvon Diggs. Guess who? To McCaffrey right up the middle, and a stiff arm. McCaffrey for 6.
It's like Christmas all over again with football starting back. I know we are very happy to be here, and Isaiah and Taylor, I mean, it's been a while since the three of us did this show.
Yeah, I mean, football is back, fellas. We had college football last weekend. It was kind of like a little preview of what is going to be a great season. But now the real entree is served. You know, the NFL starts tomorrow. I know I've been very excited. I've been chomping at the bit for football to come back after my Niners lost the Super Bowl back in February, which was a very painful moment. And then, you know, I know Loro has wanted to get the bitter taste of the Patriots season out of his mouth since last year. I know Taylor the same thing. So I'm ready for football, man. I know baseball's been very exciting, man, but football is back. I can't wait for the Ravens and the Chiefs tomorrow. And it's going to be a very, very exciting NFL season. And I can't wait to see what Brock Purdy does now in year 3 as the 49ers starter. So, yeah, let's go, man. I cannot wait for Monday night when the Niners host the Jets and Aaron Rodgers and see Aaron Rodgers' take 2 in his debut with the Jets.
And how are you, Taylor? I mean, it's been a while since we've seen you on these shows.
I know. Yeah, I've been, you know, watching ever since the Stanley Cup Finals concluded with the Florida Panthers winning. I mean, like Isaiah said, baseball season's been kind of exciting. And of course, you know, I'm excited for hockey season and basketball season also to start again. But at the same time, you know, football season, of course, it obviously comes before hockey, and you know, for hockey season, I mean football season to finally commence. You know, this is going to be I'm expecting a big season for the Niners and Brock Purdy. Like Isaiah just mentioned, it was painful to watch them lose the Super Bowl to the Chiefs last year, but you know, for this is Brock Purdy is young. He's coming of age, and you know the Niners are definitely expecting big things out of him.
Anyways, guys, we are ready for a great season. But let's start with our team reports. Isaiah, you can go first with the 49ers.
Yeah, the Niners, great news. They got Brandon Ayuk back after a long offseason of negotiations. It was very contentious at some point in those negotiations. They also got Trent Williams back, which is huge because Trent Williams is like our best offensive lineman, and the Niners' offensive line isn't really that strong to begin with. So the Niners accomplished a lot of great things this offseason. Purdy's back year 3 now. I think that he's going to be even better because he had a whole off season. He didn't have to worry about, rehabbing his arm and stuff like that. And then, the Niners brought back everybody. Like they brought back everybody on the offensive side. Defense, they got better. I think they got younger. They got Leonard Floyd as their pass rusher. They got Yetur Gross-Matos, another defensive lineman who's very young, very skilled. And then they got Malik Collins, who is if you haven't watched Malik Collins, I really recommend you to watch Malik Collins play because this dude is a absolute monster when it comes to being a run-stopping defensive lineman. I mean, he's a beast in the middle, and he could take on like 2 or 3 defenders at one point, and he's just really that good. So I thought the Niners defensive line, I thought last year we took a step back, but I thought like getting younger, getting faster, getting some new players in, I think that's really going to help the Niners defensive line. And I think that I think the reason why the Niners defense sucked last year was, and I think Taylor knows this since he's a 49ers fan, Steve Wilks was just never a great fit to begin with as defensive coordinator. Like he ran a totally different defensive system than the Niners were used to running, and he was forced to learn the Niners defensive scheme, and it just wasn't a good fit. So I think now with Nick Sorensen, we have a new defensive coordinator. The one thing I don't like is why on earth did we hire Brandon Staley? Like why? It makes no sense. Like the guy gave up 63 points to the Raiders, and then he got fired. Like he's not a good defensive coach. But I think with a new
Look, he's not calling plays defensively. He's just an assistant head coach for Kyle Shanahan. Nick Sorensen's going to be the one calling plays.
Yeah, and I'm going to be interested to see because Nick Sorensen has been with the Niners ever since Kyle Shanahan got hired by the Niners. So you do have that continuity, and I think he'll learn better, and he'll be like a Robert Saleh or like a DeMeco Ryans, rather than being like a Steve Wilks. So I think it's better for the Niners. And then Christian McCaffrey's back. Thank God he came back to practice this week. The Niners, look, they have a very, I feel like they have a very tough schedule to start off with because we play, I do believe we play the Jets to open the season. And then I think after that, give me 1 second. Let me pull up the Niners schedule. Yeah, so the Niners, we play the Jets to open the season. Then we play the Rams. Then we played the we played the Jets to open the season. Then we play Minnesota at Minnesota. Minnesota's not that good. Then we play the Rams. Then the Patriots come into town, and then Arizona. So I think the first 5 games, it should be very easy, right? And then Seattle, Taylor knows this. We always, I don't know why, when we play Seattle, every time we go into Seattle and play them, something weird always happens. Then we play Kansas City in the rematch of the Super Bowl, which is going to be great. And then Dallas. So I do think the Niners have a very easy first half of the season. The second half with Tampa Bay, Seattle, at Green Bay, late November, Lambeau Field with it being super chilly, that's going to be tough. And then you have at Buffalo, which is going to be tough, especially in the cold. Then Chicago, then the Rams, Miami, Detroit, Arizona. The Niners have a really tough schedule. Later on in the season, but I think that we have the talent. I mean, we've got the defense. We've got hopefully, I think Purdy's going to take another leap forward. Last year, he threw for a franchise record 4,280 yards. And with the elbow still. Him still rehabbing. So I think the Niners are in for a really good season. I just think that for the Niners, it all comes down to health. It comes down to if our defense with our new players can step up, if Nick Sorensen can be better than Steve Wilks, and then everybody just stay healthy, because that's the problem with the Niners. They always get hurt, and then they end up, having a really bad season because everybody gets hurt. But if they're healthy, I think they're the best team in the National Football League. So since Loro had to step out for a little bit, I'm gonna go to Taylor next for his report on the Niners. Taylor, I know you're a big Niners fan, but do you have anything to add or subtract from what I had to say about the Niners?
Well, Isaiah, I would say, the defense, like you said, last year, and it showed in the Super Bowl. So it came down to when it went to overtime, all those plays where they just let the Chiefs, just push their way downfield and eventually leading to the clinching touchdown. This hopefully the system that Sorensen brings in is, hopefully it addresses the problems they had and hopefully prevents like anything like what happened in the Super Bowl from happening again, because the defense, they just kept running. They couldn't set up those walls. If they did have walls, there were holes in the walls because they were somehow able to let the guys just let all those Chief players just break tackles. And especially there was that one play, I think it was like third and two or something, like, or 4th and 2, I don't know, but they just let Mahomes.
Yeah, 4th and 2.
Yeah, they let Mahomes just rush the ball for an easy first down, and that's how it all unraveled. So hopefully this new defensive coordinator can, shore up the defense, probably put in a new system, and, try and hopefully patch up those holes in the walls, because we don't want, anything like that to happen again. And not to mention try to, you know, pass coverage and stopping the rush. Those are very important. So hopefully this new defensive coordinator can address those problems and fix them too.
Yeah, definitely. Taylor, I do want to stick with the Niners for a little bit because Loro is not here right now. So I do want to stick with the Niners for a little bit. The Niners recently they guaranteed Trent Williams the final 3 years of his contract, and he ended his holdout. And then Brandon Ayuk signed a 4-year extension with the Niners worth $120 million. What was your thoughts on the Ayuk extension? Do you love, or not like the Brandon Ayuk extension?
Well, Isaiah, I think Brandon Ayuk, he's been playing. He's been a good player over the years, and to look, I'm trying to pull up his stats right now, and let me see from last season, Brandon Ayuk. Um, yeah, I'm trying to pull them up. My computer's kind of going a little slow right now, but anyways, let's see. I mean, 4 years worth, however much. Wait, you said 100 and something million?
Yeah, 120 million.
Yeah, so about 30 million per year. That's
Yep.
not bad given I'm trying to pull up his stats, and yeah, my computer's being a little slow right now, but um
Well, Taylor, I actually have the stats in front of me. He had 75 catches for 1,342 yards receiving, and he caught 7 touchdowns last year. That is Brandon Ayuk. He actually was one of the Niners' leading pass catchers last season. George Kittle had 6 touchdown catches. Deebo Samuel had 7. Christian McCaffrey had 7. But Ayuk had, out of all 4 of them, he had the most yards receiving by a Niners receiving target.
oh yeah, so yeah, those numbers are pretty good. So I would say he's definitely worth the money. With how many catches he had and for the yardage, and I think he, like you said, seven touchdown receptions. That's that's pretty decent. So, I'll say this contract. He definitely earned his contract. So
Yeah, I mean, listen, I didn't like how it was like such back and forth and how it was so like contentious between the Niners and Ayuk. Taylor, I don't know if you were on any of our programs when I said this, when the Ayuk Niners negotiations were going on. I said like I was just getting sick of it because it was literally like every day as Niners fans, we wouldn't hear about what was happening on the football field. We would hear about what was happening like between Brandon Ayuk and the Niners, and it was just like so back and forth. And I'm glad they finally got a deal done because it was just getting to the point where it was just getting like way too contentious for me. And I was just so sick of hearing like about the Ayuk negotiations. Is he going to stay in San Francisco? Is he going to leave the Niners and this and that? I don't really like the money because I don't like paying a receiver like $30 million plus. Like, I think if you pay a receiver like that much money per year, I think that you're not going to win a Super Bowl because you're going to have all that money tied into receivers, and wide receivers, like you can replace them like really easily in the draft, I feel like. So I don't like paying that amount, but I mean, I've been a big fan of Ayuk ever since he came out of college. Like, he's Brock Purdy's favorite target. He's Brock Purdy's most dependable target. And Brock Purdy is like a young quarterback. So you need to keep his favorite weapons and his protection with Trent Williams. You got to keep those things to help keep him upright and to keep him successful. So I do like that they got it done, that they extended him. And I'm glad Ayuk is back with the Niners because I think he's a better player than Debo. If I had to choose between Debo Samuel or Brandon Ayuk, I would take Brandon Ayuk because I think that Brandon Ayuk, he's a very good route runner, and that is like more substance than Debo. Like, Debo relies on his athleticism, and once you get older, right, you don't have that speed, you don't have that agility, you don't have that athleticism anymore, and you end up not being a good wide receiver anymore. So I think Brandon Ayuk definitely ages a lot better than Debo Samuel, and I think that definitely that benefits the Niners. So yeah, that's my thoughts. I just don't like the money. I think if they had paid him like 28, 29, or 27, I think I'd be more comfortable with that, Taylor. But I just don't like the 30 million. But I do like that he's back because he's Brock Purdy's top target. And for a young quarterback like Brock Purdy, you need like to keep his favorite weapons and his offensive line for him to be successful.
yeah, just like mentioning his favorite target. Yeah, just like Steve Young and Jerry Rice back in the day. And of course, you mentioning the money. Well, it kind of reminds me. I mean, he's not quite as like say in hockey, like, and we'll discuss, and I can discuss this more on Face Off later with the Edmonton Oilers and Leon Draisaitl signing a massive 8-year contract worth, I think, 124 million per year or something like that. Well, I mean, for hockey, that's a good contract, and I'll say the money for football, I mean, may not be quite that much, but I mean, Brandon Ayuk, I mean, he was trying to be maybe one of these days, if he spends his entire career with the Niners, like it looks like Leon Draisaitl is going to do with the Edmonton Oilers, Ayuk definitely like when it comes to his next contract, he might get a super max extension, like kind of like what Leon Draisaitl just signed with the Edmonton Oilers. And who knows if he plays pretty good, it just might be that much.
Yeah, I agree. Ayuk definitely now has to live up to the contract because, you're getting paid $30 million a year. You're one of the top paid wide receivers in the NFL, and you can't get hurt anymore. Like you've been. I mean, he's definitely been a lot durable than Debo Samuel has been. But you've got to be the number one target now because you're getting paid like the number one wide receiver in the NFL. So definitely like the Ayuk signing. Trent Williams, Taylor, I don't know if you have anything to add on him, but I love the Trent Williams signing because our offensive line is already not that strong, and Trent Williams is like the best player by far on the offensive line, and he protects Brock Purdy's blind side on the left side. So I'm just glad they got it done because now I don't have to worry about the left side and Brock Purdy getting hit when he's not looking that way. And Brock Purdy, I think, definitely will have a lot more time to throw the football, and the Niners will have more holes to run the football. through with Christian McCaffrey and Jordan Mason and all the backs that we got. So I love the Trent Williams deal. I was fretting because the Jets have a really powerful defensive line, and if we did not have Trent Williams going into week 1, I think the Niners, I would have been really scared for Brock Purdy and the Niners. But now that we have Trent Williams, like I'm very comfortable for that matchup.
Oh yeah. I don't really know too much about Trent Williams, but I think, like you said, he seems pretty strong, and he definitely shores up the offensive line because, I mean, not just, I mean, in addition to, I believe it was Eric Armstead who I think he protects the center or the right, but like you said, the Niners have definitely needed somebody on Brock Purdy's left, and Trent Williams definitely fits that position because, and I believe, I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure he and Eric Armstead would definitely do a great job at keeping all those defensive guys on the other teams away from Brock Purdy. And, I mean, if you put Trent Williams on the left and Eric Armstead on the right or something like that, then and then we find someone good in the center, then it's definitely going to be a strong offensive wall to protect Brock Purdy.
Yeah, no, definitely. Taylor, let's get into the fun part of the show. Our NFL predictions. We're gonna go ahead and predict every division in the NFL and also the wild card playoff teams, and then we'll get into our NFL conference championship game predictions and also Super Bowl matchup and who wins the Super Bowl. But let's get into the fun part, the part that you guys have all been waiting for, our NFL division predictions. The season is officially here. It begins tomorrow. So let's get into it. And, me and Taylor, we don't know how we're going to look like halfway through the season. We might look like a genius or we might look really bad with some of our predictions, but hey, that's why you make predictions. That's the fun of making these predictions. But Taylor, let's start in the AFC East. The Jets, Aaron Rodgers is coming back after he got hurt 4 plays into the season last year and tore his Achilles. The Jets did really do a great job, in signing a lot of offensive linemen to help protect Aaron Rodgers, like Tyron Smith from the Cowboys and also Morgan Moses from the Ravens. The Buffalo Bills with Josh Allen is back, but he lost Stephon Diggs as he's gone to the Texans, and Gabriel Davis, one of their top wide receivers. He's also now a Jacksonville Jaguar as well. Taylor Rapp did sign a 3-year extension with them. And the Bills did lose a lot of players on the defensive. They lost their safety, Poyer, as well, longtime safety. He's a free agent. And then the Dolphins. I mean, the Dolphins last year were just ravaged by injury. They had a lot of injuries last year, but Tua signed an extension. The Miami Dolphins also signed their head coach, their star head coach. Taylor, you and I both know well in Mike McDaniel, the former 49ers offensive coordinator, to a massive 4-year extension. They have a new defensive coordinator now in Miami. They do have some new defensive pieces as well. Jalen Ramsey is back there. And then also in that division, the Patriots. Drake May, it's a new era. Bill Belichick is no longer there. They have a new quarterback. They got a new coach. Gerard Mayo is their new head coach. Jacoby Brissett will be their starting quarterback. But they did draft Drake May, the number 3 overall pick from North Carolina, as their quarterback of the futures. But he probably won't see the field until like mid-season. But the Patriots did add running back Antonio Gibson from the Washington Commanders. But yeah, it's definitely a new era and a new day in New England. But Taylor, for this division, I'm going to go first on this. I'm going to go with the Jets. I think the Jets are the best team in this division. The Bills, I just feel like they lost too many offensive weapons. Like they lost their number 1 receiver and their number 2 best receiver. And, to win football games, you have to win football games, you have to have a great wide receiving core. Like no quarterback will be successful with a bad wide receiving core or bad offensive weapons. So I don't know who Josh Allen is going to throw the football to. James Cook is decent, but if you don't have a good passing game, defenses can just stack the box and just stop your running game, and then you're going to be ineffective on offense. So I don't trust the Bills. I also think they lost a lot on defense. The Dolphins, a lot of their players are coming back from injuries. We don't know how they're going to be. Tua is always kind of iffy for me. I don't really like his playing style. And also, they did lose a lot of pieces as well, both offensively and defensively. And then the Patriots, I think Drake May, Taylor, he's going to play probably like mid-season, especially when the Patriots season is going down. Jacoby Brissett is their new quarterback. He's an all right quarterback. He's not the best. I don't know why the Patriots released Bailey Zappi. I thought they did him dirty because he had been a starter for them. He made them look like a competent team, and then they just kind of did him dirty by pushing him out the door, which I didn't like. But Gerard Mayo, he's a defensive coach. He's been a player there in New England. He won a Super Bowl there. We'll see how he does. I don't know how he does. It's his first time as a head coach, but I think that for me, I'm going with the Jets. Aaron Rodgers is still one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. They beefed up the offensive line. Breece Hall, the running back, is one of the best running backs in the NFL. Garrett Wilson was looking like one of the best receivers in the NFL, and this was with Zach Wilson throwing him the football. Just think about with Aaron Rodgers now, a way better quarterback throwing him the football. Think about how he's going to be. I think he's going to be even more electric. And the problem with the Jets is they have a really great defense. They just needed a quarterback to get their playmakers the ball, and now they have it with a healthy Aaron Rodgers. So I'm going to go with the Jets, Taylor. I think the Jets are definitely the best team in the AFC. But who do you have winning that division? Do you have the Jets, the Patriots, the Bills, or the Dolphins?
Well, I think I got to go with you on the Jets. I think this is finally going to be the year that they end that long playoff drought, because if Aaron Rodgers, and hopefully he stays healthy, but although I do hope the Niners do beat him, but I think this is the only game that we're going to root against him, because for the rest of the season, Aaron Rodgers and the Jets, I hope will have a better season to finally end that long playoff drought. And they've got the guys that can definitely do it. And then, like you mentioned, for the Buffalo Bills, as like you said, to lose a top receiver like Stephon Diggs and several others, as well as a lot of their defensive line, I'm pretty sure the Bills are going to miss it again. They're going to miss it this year because they lost a lot. As for the Patriots, and when Lowro comes back, he can give his opinion on them. But Patriots are not the same as they used to be, but I'll say they're going to be hit or miss, because same thing with the Miami Dolphins, and Tua has a lot to learn, but and then all the other teams, but yeah, I got to go with you on that. I say the Jets are going to win the division. They're finally going to end the playoff drought, and this can definitely be, probably going to be their first season back in the playoffs in a handful of years.
Yeah, and they have to make the playoffs, because if Robert Saleh and the Jets miss the playoffs, Robert Saleh is definitely going to be gone as the head coach of the New York Jets. So I got the Jets. I think they're just the better team. Taylor's got the Jets. But folks, feel free to comment in the comment section. Who do you guys think will win the AFC East between the Jets, the Patriots, the Dolphins, or the Buffalo Bills? Moving on to the next division, we're going to go to the AFC South, where the Jaguars, they had a collapse last season. They were one of the best teams in the AFC. And then 7 weeks before the playoffs started, they just collapsed and lost 5 of their final 7 games and missed the playoffs. It was embarrassing. And Doug Peterson handed play calling duties over to his offensive coordinator. In the offseason, they got better offensive players. They got Gabriel Davis from the Bills, who's a dynamic wide receiver. They beefed up the offensive line. They also got Eric Armstead, our guy, Taylor, from the Niners. The Niners cut him, and then the Jaguars picked him up. I think he's going to be really good for their defense, especially their run defense. The Texans, CJ Stroud had a phenomenal rookie season last year. The Texans got Stephon Diggs, so I think they're going to be even better. The defense got some pieces added to it. The defense was kind of their weakness last year, so the defense is definitely going to be somewhat improved. The Colts, Anthony Richardson is back after he missed a lot of time with injuries. The Colts also got Latu, the UCLA dynamic defensive end, who was really good last season for UCLA to help their pass rush. And then the Tennessee Titans, they have a new coach. Brian Callahan is now their head coach, former offensive coordinator of the Cincinnati Bengals. He's now their new head coach. The Titans also got Calvin Ridley, from former receiver from the Jaguars, to help bolster their offense. Taylor, I'll go first to you on this. Who do you think is going to win the AFC South? You got the Jags, the Titans, the Texans, or the Colts, in what I think should be a really, really fun race in this division.
Well, Isaiah, you mentioned with the Houston Texans, I think CJ Stroud is definitely going to pick up where he left off from his rookie season, and now he's got an elite receiver in Stephon Diggs as one of his top targets, I think, because just like as you mentioned previously with the Niners, with Brock Purdy, with Brandon Ayuk being the top target for Brock Purdy. And as I mentioned back in the day when it was Steve Young throwing so many times to Jerry Rice, well, I think it's going to be a lot of, when it comes to the passing game, it's going to be a lot of CJ Stroud to Stephon Diggs. So I think they're definitely going to be a dynamic duo for the Texans. As far as the rest of the division, I think the Jaguars, the wheels fell off late last season, but I'll bet they're going to learn from their mistakes. I think they're probably going to be in the wild card hunt at the bare minimum, but the other teams, the rest of the division is probably going to be hit or miss. But the Texans, CJ Stroud I think he's definitely going to pick up where he left off, and the fact that like I said, now that he has an elite receiver to throw to in Stephon Diggs, he's definitely going to lead the Texans to the AFC South Division Championship. And not to mention, and I've got a friend who's a card collector, and last year CJ Stroud, his rookie trading cards had the most value out of any player. So they may have gone down because he's not a rookie anymore, but I think aside from that, I think he's definitely going to have enough to lead the Texans to a division championship.
Yeah, I mean, Taylor, I think you make really good points. I think the Texans could definitely win the division. I don't think that's crazy to say. For the Colts, I don't trust the health of Anthony Richardson because he played 4 games last year, and all 4 games he didn't get out healthy. So the guy just cannot stay healthy. So until I see him play 1 game and at least get through the whole game healthy, I can't trust him to stay healthy. The Tennessee Titans, they just have a lot of new stuff, new staff, new players. Like, there's a lot of new stuff going on there. I think they need time to gel. And Will Levis, new system. It takes time to learn a new offense. So I do think that for the Titans, I think they're going to be in last, but don't sleep on the Titans. I think they can be a lot better than a lot of people think. For me, Taylor, I'm going to go with the Jaguars. I think the reason why the Jags last year, the wheels fell off, was because in the final 7 weeks of the season, Trevor Lawrence got hurt, and Trevor Lawrence was not the same again. And when a quarterback gets hurt, like, that's basically your season is doomed after that, since your quarterback is like the superstar of the entire team. So I think that Trevor Lawrence is now healthy. They beefed up the offensive line with the addition of center Mitch Morse. They got Eric Armstead to beef up the defensive line. I think the Jaguars are definitely going to be better on both the offensive line and the defensive line. And then they've got, Gabriel Davis. They got Christian Kirk. They've got some really good receivers as well. I think Gabriel Davis is more explosive than Calvin Ridley, so I like that move a lot. And not to mention Travis Etienne last year, the running back, he's dynamic, but he had a down year because they just did not have the offensive line capable to run the football. So I think the Jaguars, they did enough. And plus Doug Peterson knows that, they gotta make the playoffs this year, or else he might be let go, because that collapse was just so embarrassing, because the Jaguars were like the first or the second best team in the AFC, and they just went down just like that in the final weeks of the season. So I'm going to go with the Jags, and I think Trevor Lawrence bounces back in a big, big way. In terms of the rest of the division, Taylor, surprisingly, I got the Texans at number 2, but here's the catch. You and I both know this. The sophomore slump is real. Like any sport you watch, whether it's hockey, whether it's basketball, whether it's baseball or football, the sophomore slump is real. I think CJ Stroud is going to have a sophomore slump, because I think that last year he burst onto the scenes because a lot of teams didn't really have a lot of film on him. But now defensive coordinators have film on him and know how to game plan against him and play to his weaknesses. So it's going to be up to him to adjust. But that second year is always when we get to know more about the quarterback and if they're for real or not. And I don't like the move of Stephon Diggs, because Stephon Diggs, for me, he kind of reminds me of LeBron. He's like a crybaby. Like every time the guy doesn't get a catch or he doesn't, get a call come his way, he's always whining and he's always like, yelling at his quarterbacks. Like we already saw that, in a preseason game, in the first week of the preseason, where CJ Stroud didn't get him the football and he ended up yelling at CJ Stroud. Like, I just think that's really bad energy for the team. And I still don't trust that Texans defense yet. So I think the Texans will be second, but I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, because I just think that CJ Stroud will come back to earth and have like a sophomore slump. And the Colts, like I said, I don't trust Anthony Richardson to stay healthy. I think, sadly, he's going to get hurt again this season. Don't be surprised if Sam Ellinger ends up starting a lot of games for the Colts. And then the Titans, I think they're going to be in last, but I think they're going to challenge the Colts for third place due to the health of Anthony Richardson. I just don't trust Anthony Richardson. He always gets hurt. He's never got out of a game healthy. And that's like a big concern, because if your star player cannot get out of a game healthy, like that's not good for any team.
No, definitely not. And Anthony Richardson, but he's been kind of like you said, he was fragile last year, and I think he's just barely recovering. But at the same time, I would think that and then you mentioning for the for the negative energy between CJ Stroud and Stephon Diggs, I mean, I kind of haven't seen him, but for CJ Stroud, to act like you said, LeBron James in the NBA. Well, I mean, that's the difference. I mean, that's true for a lot of sports. There are obviously a lot of star players who tend to be crybabies and tend to throw tantrums a lot. But and then even not just to throw tantrums, but I've even seen, well, I don't know if I've seen him get into a little bit of scuffles on the field. I mean, I don't know if Stephon Diggs, if he's, because he can cry like LeBron James for basketball, but another basketball player, I don't know if we could be equivalent to would be, some kind of similar to, say, Draymond Green, because I've seen him a lot over his career. He's thrown tantrums on the court, like he just, and especially that in 2023 when the Warriors played my Sacramento Kings in the first round, how he stomped on Domantas Sabonis's chest and ended up getting a flagrant 2, an ejection, and a suspension. Well, Stephon Diggs, I don't think hopefully he's not like that, but I wouldn't be surprised if he is, because the there's always some kind of animosity on the field between all those players. And I mean, well, not only in football, but basically all throughout the sports world. There's always some kind of animosity between players and teams. So
Yeah, definitely. So Taylor's got the Texans, and I got. Yeah, I'm going with Duval, the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's going to be an interesting race. But let's move on to the AFC North. A very interesting division. Joe Burrow is back. The Bengals, Joe Mixon is no longer there. He moved on to the Texans. The Steelers got Russell Wilson. He's going to be their starting quarterback. George Pickens is their number one receiver. The Cleveland Browns are hoping Deshaun Watson stays healthy. We'll see what happens with that. But the Cleveland Browns, no Nick Chubb for the first 4 games of the season. And then also the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson is back. The crew in Baltimore is back. They did get Derrick Henry, which is a big add to them. In terms of their running back room, Lamar and Derrick Henry, that's going to be very, very dynamic. Taylor, I'm going to go first on this division. For the AFC North, this is tough because this division, like every year, like there's a different team that wins it every year. But I'm going to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers, surprisingly. And the reason why is because last year, Pittsburgh just didn't have a competent, quarterback. Like, Kenny Pickett could not, complete a lot of good passes. He threw a lot of interceptions. And, you from our days watching the 49ers and Seahawks, Russell Wilson does not throw picks. Like, that guy barely turns the ball over. And he's really good at getting the ball to his playmakers. Like, I know he's looked bad in the preseason, but it's just the preseason. Like, I don't really take any stock in the preseason. I think that the Steelers, they have a great defense led by TJ Watt and Minka Fitzpatrick. I think their defense is going to be dynamic, and all they need is a quarterback that can just manage the game, and that's what Russell Wilson can do. He doesn't turn the football over. They can run the ball with Najee Harris, and then Russ just needs to complete the passes to, Freiermuth, the tight end, George Pickens, the receiver. So I'm going to go with Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh shocks a lot of people and wins the AFC North. And I got the Ravens number 2 because I love that Lamar and Derrick Henry dynamic in the running game. It's going to be crazy, but I don't know. I just don't trust Lamar Jackson. I've never have trusted Lamar Jackson because I think in the NFL to be successful, you need a quarterback that can throw the football, and Lamar Jackson's just kind of iffy when it comes to throwing the football. And now Pittsburgh's actually got a quarterback. So, they got a quarterback who doesn't turn the football over, which is huge, which is something that they didn't have last year. And then you look at the Cleveland Browns. Deshaun Watson hasn't been the same ever since, he was suspended for a year. He just hasn't been the same. They don't have Nick Chubb for the first 4 games of the season, which is going to be a big blow. Their defense is very good, but I just cannot trust Deshaun Watson. I know Kevin Stefanski's a great coach, but still, Deshaun Watson, I don't know what's up with him. He just he's been awful as of late. And then the Bengals. Joe Burrow's a great quarterback, but the offensive line continuously fails him. And if you can't block for your quarterback, you're not going to have success. So I'm going to go with the Steelers to win the division. And I think the Bengals and the Ravens battle it out for second place in that division. How about you, Taylor? Who do you have winning the AFC North?
Well, I think, like you said, with the Steelers getting Russell Wilson, and then and you forgot to mention they have Justin Fields as their backup as they acquired him from
That's
the
right.
Chicago Bears. Russell Wilson definitely is. He's probably going to reinvent himself with the Steelers. Probably going to maybe even shatter some of the old records previously set by Ben Roethlisberger, and definitely can lead them to a division title. As far as the other teams go, like you mentioned with the Cleveland Browns, their defensive line is not so good, and then one of their, I think he's either a receiver or a tight end, T. Higgins, who I've mentioned in our group chats how funny his name is. He and then I'll probably mention some of the others later. T. Higgins he's a hit or miss receiver. Baltimore, and they've got another funny name player in Zay Flowers. um, you know, I think, yeah, like you said, he's probably. I say the Ravens are going to be probably going to be in the wild cards. But who is their quarterback again? Isaiah, for the Ravens.
It's Lamar Jackson for the Baltimore Ravens.
Lamar Jackson, yeah. I think he's probably gonna him, and I think, yeah, I'd say definitely keep him throwing to Zay Flowers a lot would. And yeah, I believe this is Zay Flowers' second season, I think. Am I wrong? Zay Flowers?
Yeah, that's his second season. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so, but
And
yeah,
then
I
Taylor,
remember.
I hate to cut you off, but Mark Andrews, our star tight end, he actually got into a car accident a couple weeks ago, and he has like some rib injury, so that's also going to hurt the Baltimore Ravens as well. I feel like.
Oh no, yeah, that's a car crash. That is gonna hurt for sure. If he's a star tight end, because you obviously you got to get everyone in on the act, not just so for Lamar Jackson. So that's one less target he has. But obviously, you can't rely on. Obviously, you can't just rely on guys like Flowers and who knows who else. You got there are other sources that you have to go to as well. And but as far as the rest of the division, for Joe, I think Joe Burrow might have a bounce back season for the Bengals. And the I think, like you said, I think it's going to be the Steelers winning the division, and then the Ravens and the Bengals in a close race for second and third. And then of course the Browns and the rest of the division, they're probably going to miss it completely.
Yeah, I agree with that. Going to the AFC West to round out the last divisions in the AFC. Well, Taylor, the Chiefs, they won the Super Bowl again. They beat our Niners again. That was definitely heartbreaking, but Patrick Mahomes got another star quality receiver in Xavier Worthy from Texas, who's really, really fast. The Chargers, they got Jim Harbaugh from Michigan. Our former 49ers coach, he's back in the NFL now with the Chargers. They also got Joey Bosa back. They did lose Austin Eckler, the running back, but they got Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins, who are really good dynamic power running backs to be their running backs. And also they drafted a really good underrated receiver in Lad McConkey from the Georgia Bulldogs, who's really dynamic to be the receiver, even though they did lose Keenan Allen and they lost Mike Williams to other teams because of salary cap issues. The Denver Broncos, Sean Payton, in his second year, might have gotten his franchise quarterback or his next Drew Brees and Bo Nix. He looks very dynamic with Sean Payton's offense. They beefed up the offensive line to help Bo Nix out. And then the Raiders' new head coach, Antonio Pierce, got the interim tag taken off. The Raiders also got Christian Wilkins, the star defensive tackle from the Miami Dolphins. And the Raiders got Gardner Minshew to be their starting quarterback as well. In addition to drafting Georgia tight end star Brock Bowers, who's very, very good. And a lot of people have said he's the next George Kittle or Travis Kelce. Taylor, I'm going to go first to you on this. In the AFC West, are you going to go Broncos, Chiefs, Chargers, or Raiders?
I think the Chargers, with I think they made some moves. I have a feeling they are going to pay off because, Joey Bosa, he is definitely for him to come back. He's definitely the shore on the defensive line. Yeah, shore it up, and also hopefully Justin Herbert has a bounce back season. Not to mention maybe get Easton Stick involved in a few plays if Herbert fails. But the Chargers they've got a lot of potential. Justin Herbert can definitely be a star quarterback, and then Justin Herbert and Easton Stick, they're definitely they look like a great 1-2 punch for the quarterback duo. To lose Keenan Allen and Austin Eckler, those were I don't know if they were maybe they were busts, but to get the new guys, I think this move's going to pay off. I'll say they'll take the division. I think the Chiefs are probably going to be in the wild card hunt. They'll probably finish a mere second. If Patrick Mahomes, can stay healthy, and they mesh together, and not to mention the times with I've seen him hook up with Travis Kelce on short passes. And by the way, the story with Travis Kelce, as you can see, I'm wearing his girlfriend is on my t-shirt, my celebrity crush Taylor Swift. Yeah. But with Travis Kelce, all the times that Patrick Mahomes, he and Patrick Mahomes, I forget who their wide receiver is, but one of their wide receivers. But I think Travis Kelce's definitely been one of Mahomes' top targets, and then also I think they still have Mecole Hardman, who got the Super Bowl clinching touchdown last year, if I remember. I think they still have him. I'll say he's probably going to be a secret weapon like he was last year, because I didn't know much about him until he got the game-winning touchdown in the Super Bowl. But I say he's going to be a secret weapon, and I think but it's probably not going to be enough. I don't think, because the Chiefs, I think they might have the Super Bowl hangover to start, and then eventually the pieces of the puzzle would come together. But I think it's going to be too little, too late. They're probably going to be in the wild card hunt, though, at the bare minimum. And then as for the rest of the division, I think the Broncos are probably gonna finish third, but miss the playoffs because they lost. Because with the departure of Russell Wilson to the Steelers, this new quarterback probably. He's still got a lot to learn. And then of course the Raiders haven't been relevant since they were still in Oakland. So I think it's going to be so in order from 1 to 4, I'll say Chargers, Chiefs, Broncos, Raiders.
I like it. So Loro, unfortunately, won't be able to join us for the rest of the show because he's dealing with a lot of tech issues. So it looks like it's just going to be you and me, Taylor, for the rest of the show. But yeah, it's been fun so far. But for my AFC West prediction, Taylor, I'm actually going to agree with you. I'm going to go with the Chargers. I think that the Chargers, a lot of their issues last year was just because of coaching. Brandon Staley was just such a horrific coach that the Chargers should have won at least 10 games had Brandon Staley not gotten in the way. And I just think a lot of the players checked out late on him, and they didn't want to play for him anymore. So that's why they were really that bad. But if you look at the Chargers, like, they have a lot of great talent. They have the superstar quarterback in Justin Herbert. They've got two dynamic defensive ends in Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa to get after the quarterback. Yeah, I know they lost Austin Eckler and Keenan Allen and also Mike Williams, their top receivers and running backs, but they got J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards, who are really good with the Baltimore Ravens, to replace them. And then at receiver, you have this kid from TCU. I think his name is Quentin Johnston, who was their receiver last year. And I think he's going to take another step up and be very good. And also you have Lad McConkey, who is a really good route runner. Like, I think he's like Brandon Ayuk. Like, he's a very young version of Brandon Ayuk. He's just really dynamic as a route runner, and he can just get open every time. So I think Justin Herbert will get him the football a lot and make him one of their primary targets. And they beefed up the offensive line with drafting the Notre Dame offensive tackle Joe Alt, who was supposed to be very, very good. I think with him at the right side and Rashawn Slater at the left side, I think the Chargers are going to be able to have a lot of time throwing the football and a lot of open holes to run through. So I think Jim Harbaugh, Taylor, you and I both know Jim Harbaugh from his days with the Niners. Like, that guy turns around teams like very, very quickly. Like, the Niners were not good when he came in, and then in 1 year he took us to the playoffs. So I think Jim Harbaugh is going to take the Chargers to the playoffs in year one and win the Chargers the AFC West and change the culture there in Los Angeles. Like you said, the Chiefs, I think they're going to have a Super Bowl hangover. I think that I still don't trust their defense, even though they had a really good defense last year. I think they got lucky a lot at times. And that division's harder now. Like, Bo Nix and the Broncos are coming. Bo Nix is a very good quarterback. I think he's going to be super dynamic under Sean Payton. The difference with him and a lot of these rookie quarterbacks is a lot of these rookie quarterbacks are going to be coached by defensive coaches. Bo Nix has the luxury of being coached by Sean Payton, one of the best offensive coaches in the game. And I think that with him and with Sean Payton, it's going to be so dynamic and magical, just like Drew Brees and Sean Payton. And Sean Payton's very, very good with quarterbacks and with coaching offense. So I think Bo Nix will have a fantastic rookie season, and I think he's going to have like a CJ Stroud season where, like last year, where CJ Stroud just lit the world on fire. I think Bo Nix is going to light the world on fire here in 2024. And the Broncos aren't bad. I mean, their defense was very good last year. They just needed a quarterback to get the ball to the weapons that they have, like Cortland Sutton, and they have a really good running back in Javonte Williams. Like, I think the Broncos, honestly, to shock you guys, I think they're going to make the playoffs. Like, I think that's how good that they are. Like, they had Russell Wilson, and Russell Wilson wasn't that good with the Broncos last year. They had a lot of injuries, and they still finished 8-9. Now you have this quarterback, this rookie dynamic quarterback in Bo Nix coming in. Like, I think the Broncos could be like an 11 or 10 win team with Bo Nix at quarterback. And then the Raiders, like, I think the Raiders, like you said, Taylor, I think the Raiders, like, they haven't been relevant since their days with Oakland. Like, I think the Raiders last year, the reason why they won a lot of games towards the end was because the Raiders, Taylor, you know how when you fire a coach, when a team fires a coach, they have like that, the team feels bad that they didn't perform for the coach, so they start playing really, really well. I think it was just that. Like, I don't think it was something that's going to last forever. I think Antonio Pierce, like, he doesn't have any head coaching experience. I think that's a big problem. I don't like their offensive coordinator they hired, Luke Getsy. He was the guy in Chicago whom a lot of Bears fans wanted out because, like, they just didn't like his offense. Like, his offense is very conservative, and their defense, like, yeah, they were good, but they didn't really play a lot of dynamic teams. So, having said that, like, I think the Raiders, the quarterback Gardner Minshew, he's got like 2 or 3 games where he's really good, and then there's 2 or 3 games where he looks like he shouldn't even be playing football, let alone being in the NFL. So I'm gonna go with the Chargers, and I think the Broncos and the Chiefs battle it out for second place. And then I think that the Raiders get last place, and I think the Raiders will be in the hunt for the number 1 pick because they just don't have a quality quarterback. And I think, sadly, Taylor, I think Antonio Pierce is going to go one and done in Vegas because I think that these raw like coaches that scream a lot, like, the message only lasts so long before like players start tuning them out. So I got the Chargers. You got the Chargers. Let's go to our AFC wildcard teams. You got 3 teams that didn't win their division that's going to make the playoffs. Taylor, I'll give you some time to think about this. I'll go first on this. So I got the Jets winning the AFC East. I got the Jaguars winning the AFC South. I got the Steelers winning the AFC North. And I got the Chargers winning the AFC West. For my 3 wildcard teams, I'll just give you the 3 right now. I think the 3 wildcard teams are the Chiefs, I think Kansas City, even though I don't think they're going to win their division, I still think with Patrick Mahomes, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, Andy Reid, like they have a dynamic offense. The defense was pretty good last season. Like I think that even though I think they'll suffer a Super Bowl hangover, I still think that they'll rally late and get into the playoffs, and be a tough out for whoever is, in the top seeds. And then number 2 on my list, I'm going to go with the Denver Broncos, Taylor. I'm going to go with Bo Nix and the Broncos. I'm very impressed. Bo Nix played 8 drives in preseason. He went in 8 drives. They scored 7 times in those 8 drives with Sean Payton's offense. And keep in mind, they were playing against the starting defenses too. So what he did was very impressive. They've got a really good defense. They've got good playmakers around them. I think with Bo Nix, I think Denver's going to win at least 10 or 11 games with Bo Nix's rookie year. And I think he has a CJ Stroud rookie type year for the Denver Broncos. And then last but not least, this is tough because I could go with the Ravens, I could go with the Bills, I could go with the Texans. This is very tough. You know what? Believe it or not, I'm gonna go with the Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry. They have a really good defense. I think that the division is better. The AFC is better as a whole, but I just don't see the Ravens missing the playoffs. So I got Baltimore as my last wild card team. But Taylor, if you had to give me like 3 teams that didn't win the division that you think will still get into the playoffs in the AFC as your wild card teams, who are you picking?
Well, Isaiah, like you said, with all those, so if I'm not mistaken, I said the
Yeah, so Taylor, I'll give you your division picks because I have it written down. So you picked the Jets to win the AFC East. You picked the Texans to win the AFC South. You picked the Steelers to win the AFC North, and you picked the Chargers to win the AFC West.
Okay, yeah. So the 3 wild card teams. First wild card, I'll probably give it to the. I say the Baltimore Ravens would definitely would be the first wild card because, I think ever since last year when ever since when they lost to the Chiefs, and that was like I said, like I saw because it was potentially the game-winning touchdown pass to the end zone, and Zay Flowers fumbled the ball in the end zone, and that's what ended it. But I'm pretty sure everyone is, especially Zay Flowers, would probably learn from that mistake, and I think they're probably going to be a wild card team. You said you wanted the Jacksonville Jaguars to win the AFC South. Well, I'm gonna make them a wild card. I'm gonna make them the second wild card because they may not have won the division, but they've still got a lot of potential. And last year was obviously history. The wheels fell off. Well, hopefully they don't fall off this year. And then the third wild card, I'll probably give it to the Denver Broncos. Bo Nix. He probably won't have a CJ Stroud type season, but I think he's probably just going to be enough to get the Broncos into the playoff, into the postseason. And sorry, Chiefs, your
out.
Is over.
I love it. Taylor, we go to the NFC side. We did the whole AFC, a lot of great predictions there, but we go to the NFC and we started with the NFC East where the Giants, they had a really awful season. Daniel Jones was back from injuries. They lost Saquon Barkley. They did draft this really talented wide receiver from LSU named Malik Neighbors. He's going to be one of their number 1 wide receivers. The Commanders, they have a new quarterback with Jaden Daniels. Dan Quinn is their new head coach. The Philadelphia Eagles, they had a bad collapse last year. Nick Sirianni almost got fired, but he came back. They got Saquon Barkley, and also they got Vic Fangio to be their defensive coordinator and Kellen Moore to be their offensive coordinator. And then they also got a lot of other pieces on defense, like CJ Gardner-Johnson, a really talented safety. He's now with the Eagles. And then Dallas Cowboys. They lost Tony Pollard, their top running back. Well, guess what? They re-signed Ezekiel Elliott, who is not a good player anymore, but they re-signed him on the cheap. So they have him. Jerry Jones kept Mike McCarthy after the Cowboys' dismal loss to the Green Bay Packers in the first round, but they didn't really do much besides giving CeeDee Lamb a big extension and re-signing Ezekiel Elliott. Taylor, I'll let you kick off the NFC. Who do you have? Do you have the Giants, the Cowboys, the Eagles, or are you going with the Commanders?
Well, Isaiah, I think the Eagles, I mean, Jalen Hurts still has a lot to learn. And hope probably with a veteran receiver in Barkley, he can probably, maybe he could probably, be a good target for Jalen Hurts. But at the same time, Barkley's obviously older than Hurts, but that still doesn't, I think the Eagles would probably be in the mix. I'm pretty sure the Commanders. Well, I think the Commanders are probably going to be in it too. I will have. I think I will have the Eagles win, or actually no. I'll put the Eagles in second, the Commanders in third. The New York Giants. Well, they haven't been relevant since they won one of the Super Bowls when Eli Manning was there, but I'm pretty sure whoever the quarterback now pretty much has the potential to become the new Eli Manning. So I'm pretty sure I'm gonna say this is going to be both New York teams will win their respective divisions. That's definitely gonna be a shocker, but just like the Jets win the AFC East, I'll have the Giants winning the NFC East, and then as for the Cowboys, they're not so good, and I'm pretty sure nothing's going to change for them. So I'll go with the Giants, followed by the Eagles, then Commanders in third, and the Cowboys finish dead last.
Wow, I love it. I love it. Taylor, for my NFC East prediction, I'm going to agree with you, but there's a twist. I'm going to go with the New York Giants to win the NFC East because I don't trust any of these teams in the division. I think the Cowboys should have gotten rid of Mike McCarthy. I think he's a big problem. I don't trust their defense. They lost a lot of pieces. Their offense didn't get any better. They didn't make any moves. The Commanders, they have a new quarterback with Jaden Daniels. I think he's good, but I think they need more time to get a better supporting cast around him. And then the Eagles, they have so much dysfunction last year. Nick Sirianni and the head coach and Jalen Hurts reportedly don't get along. So that's a problem when your head coach and your quarterback don't get along and they're fighting all the time. That's a big issue. And I think they have a lot of these weapons, but I just think that there's too much dysfunction there in Philadelphia, and they should have gotten rid of Nick Sirianni because I felt like last year there was just so much dysfunction. There was so much chaos going on. There were players fighting, coaches and players not getting along. They should have ripped the Band-Aid off and just got rid of the coaching staff and started new. But I just think that stink is going to carry over and it's not going to be a good thing. So I think the Giants and Brian Dable are going to win the division. But the twist that I have is I think the Giants are going to start off slow because I don't trust Daniel Jones, but with how weak that division is, Taylor, I think the Giants make a quarterback change at midseason, and I think Drew Lock will step in for Daniel Jones at midseason because I think Daniel Jones will be very ineffective to start the season, and I think Drew Lock will carry the New York Giants to the postseason because the Giants with Drew Lock, he's a gunslinger. He's a guy that can throw the football down the field and challenge defenses. And that's what you need to win nowadays in the NFL. So I'm going to go with the Giants, but I think the Giants start slow, and I think Drew Lock leads the Giants after they bench Daniel Jones to the playoffs and saves Brian Dable's job.
Oh yeah, for sure. Kind of reminds me, Isaiah, of when of I think one year when well, I think it reminds me of I think back in like 2006 or 2007 while the Raiders were still in Oakland when well, of course, the Raiders had to use three quarterbacks that year because starting with Dante Culpepper, and eventually he got injured. They go to Josh McCown, and he doesn't do so good. I don't know if he got injured or not, or he got benched, but regardless, they had a their highest draft pick of that from that past draft, Jamarcus Russell, step in, and he did a great job for the Raiders, but it wasn't enough for them to make the playoffs. But you know, if the Giants do the same thing, Isaiah, you know, I think it's probably going to be the same. You know, I think fortunes are going to be different for them. It's This move is definitely going to pay off.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Let's go to the NFC South. So Kirk Cousins moved from Minnesota to the Falcons. The Falcons also did a head scratching move and drafted Michael Penix, which is weird when you paid Kirk Cousins all that money. But the Falcons finally have a quarterback to go along with all their playmakers. They got a new coach in Rams defensive coordinator Raheem Morris. He's their new head coach of the Falcons. The Saints, Derek Carr is their quarterback. They got a new offensive coordinator, but they didn't really do much this offseason. Tampa Bay, they won the division last year. They gave Baker Mayfield a new contract. Mike Evans got a new contract, but they did lose a lot of pieces on defense. And then last but not least, in that division, in the NFC South, the Falcons got Kirk Cousins. The Buccaneers give Baker Mayfield a brand new contract and Mike Evans a brand new contract. The Saints, not really a lot of moves. So for me, Taylor, you know what? I'm gonna go with the Falcons. You know, the Falcons got Matthew Judon from the Patriots. Shout out to Ben and Laurel. Hopefully, we'll see them on another show sometime later on. But Matthew Judon was a tremendous pass rusher for the New England Patriots. He gets traded over to the Falcons. The Falcons needed two things this offseason. They needed a quarterback and they needed a dynamic pass rusher. And they got both in Kirk Cousins and Matthew Judon. And Kirk Cousins can play. He's a very good quarterback. He just needs to get the ball out to the playmakers and let them do their thing. Like they have Bijan Robinson, the running back. He's very good. I think he's going to help take the pressure off of Kirk Cousins. And then the receivers, Drake London is going to be a dynamic receiver with Kirk Cousins. And Kyle Pitts will finally reach his potential with Kirk Cousins. And that defense with Judon there, I think they're going to be really good. The rest of the division, though, like it's just like awful. I mean, the Saints, Derek Carr, he just was not good with the Saints last year. I hope he bounces back because I do want to see him succeed, but they didn't really do much this offseason. You know, Dennis Allen is on the hot seat. That defense, which is his specialty in New Orleans, they were awful last season, so they have to definitely be better. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they won the division, but I think Baker Mayfield got lucky. I just think that they won it because that division was so bad last season and was so mid. So any team, like one team had to win it, and that was the Bucs. And yeah, they have some playmakers and Mike Evans, but they lost a lot of defensive pieces. So I don't know if they'll be able to contend with the Falcons. And the one team I forgot was the Carolina Panthers, who fired their head coach last offseason. Frank Reich, Dave Canales, the Buccaneers offensive coordinator, now is the new head coach. I think he'll make Bryce Young a lot better. Their second year quarterback, but I just think they don't have enough pieces to contend. So, Taylor, I'm going to go with the Falcons and Kirk Cousins to win the division. How about you?
Can't agree with you more, Isaiah. Kirk Cousins is obviously one of the premier quarterbacks in the NFL, and I remember when he first entered the league with the Minnesota Vikings, with how good he was, and he obviously hasn't been the same ever since, but you know he can definitely turn a franchise around or make a franchise better. And for the Atlanta Falcons, he's probably going to put up some numbers that were the same as when Matt Ryan was there. And I think the Falcons definitely have a good chance to win the NFC South. I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, as you mentioned, Isaiah, with fresh new contracts to Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans. I think they're it's probably not going to be enough to win the division because, like you said, they lost a lot of important players on defense, but I think it's just going to be enough for second. I think the Saints, they're probably not going to make the playoffs, but Derek Carr, I think he's probably going to have a bounce back season, and I'll say they finish third. And the Carolina Panthers, they're probably I think the new head coach has a lot to learn, so I say they're gonna finish dead last.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you, Taylor. I think that's how the division is going to shape out, and the Panthers are in rebuild mode right now, so they definitely have a lot to learn and also to build. Let's go to the NFC North. This is, I think, one of the better divisions in the NFC. The Packers made the playoffs last year. Jordan Love was fantastic for the Green Bay Packers. They made it to the second round or to the NFC divisional round where they lost to our Niners, but the Packers, I think, will be so much better in year two under Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur. The Detroit Lions, who made it to the NFC Championship game, they definitely got a lot better on defense. And Taylor, they're going to be coming for revenge because they felt like the Niners stole the NFC Championship game from them. So they're going to be definitely very, very hungry to get back. The Minnesota Vikings drafted Michigan quarterback J.J. McCarthy, but he's out for the season because of a knee injury. So they're going to be starting Sam Darnold to start. And also they gave Justin Jefferson a big contract. So he's their number one receiver and he's their face of the franchise. But they did get a lot of good pieces on defense, especially in the draft with that. I think his name is Dallas Turner, the defensive end from Alabama. He was very disruptive at Alabama and he's very good. So he's going to help the Vikings defense. And then we also have the Chicago Bears, who got Caleb Williams from USC. The Bears, they got Keenan Allen from the Chargers. They got Rom Onduzi, one of the top wide receivers from Washington. The defense, they landed Montez Sweat last year in a deal with the Washington Commanders. I think they're going to be a lot better. So, Taylor, for me, this is a tough because I think it's going to be Green Bay, but I think it's also Chicago. I could see both winning. The Vikings are going to lose again. We're going to be singing the Vikings lose again this season. Sorry, Steven. And the Detroit Lions, they're also going to be in it. So I think it's going to be a tough race, but having said that, I'm going to go with the Cheeseheads, Taylor. I love Jordan Love. I think he reminds me a lot of Patrick Mahomes. They have a great running game. The wide receivers are also young and dynamic. And the defense, they're really good as well. But Jordan Love, I think, is the most powerful quarterback in that division right now. Caleb Williams, he's a rookie, so he's going to go through ups and downs. I don't trust Matt Eberflus, the head coach. He's not good on as a defensive coach. And I think that's what's going to hurt them. The Lions, I think they might have a hangover because it was their first time making it that far into the playoffs and they lost in just bitter fashion. Jared Goff got a new contract, but I just think the Lions, I could see them taking a step back to start and starting slow. And then the Vikings, sadly, they're going to be in last because Sam Darnold, he's an okay quarterback. He's not the best, but they don't have a quarterback to compete with Chicago or Detroit or Green Bay. So I'm going with the Cheeseheads. Taylor, who are you going with in the NFC North?
Well, Isaiah, I got to do this. I'm gonna flip the script a little bit. I think the Cheeseheads, the Packers are I think they're gonna finish second. Jordan Love, I think he's gonna have the sophomore slump. So, I think it's gonna be the Chicago Bears winning the division. And for my friend who lives here in Anaheim, who's also an usher at Honda Center, Eric, well, he's working a concert at Honda Center right now, but I'm going to tell him I said this. I've got the Bears winning the NFC North because Caleb Williams, he proved himself at USC, and I'm pretty sure now he's NFL ready. Kind of like and not to mention USC has obviously produced a bunch of other former star quarterbacks like Carson Palmer, for instance. Caleb Williams just might be the next Carson Palmer because he really changed the game for USC. He's probably gonna turn the Bears around from a losing season last year, probably to a division title this year. And then the Detroit Lions, I think they're going to be fighting for a wild card spot. I'm pretty sure that they'll probably be lucky to go far, but one thing I can agree with you, Isaiah, is the Vikings are going to finish dead last.
Yeah, no disagreement there. But so I got the Packers, Taylor's got the Bears for the NFC North. Now we go to the final division of the NFC side, and that's the NFC West, which is me and Taylor's division with the 49ers. I think we both know who we're going to pick. But the Niners, they got a lot younger on the defensive line with the additions of Leonard Floyd and also Yetur Gross-Matos. Trent Williams is back. Brandon Ayuk's back. Brock Purdy's back. Christian McCaffrey's back. George Kittle's back. Everybody's back for that team. Nick Sorensen is the new defensive coordinator for the Niners. The Seahawks, it's a new era. Pete Carroll's no longer the head coach there. Mike McDonald, the former Ravens defensive coordinator, is now the new head coach there. But I think the Seahawks, they have a lot of question marks at quarterback. Is Geno Smith the right quarterback moving forward? I don't think he's the right guy. We'll see. But the Cardinals, they Kyler Murray came back from injuries. The Cardinals, they were supposed to be one of the worst teams in the NFL, and they finished 4-13. Like they were very competitive last year under new head coach Jonathan Gannon. They added cornerback Evan Brown and running backs DJ Dallas, as well as cornerbacks Sean Murphy Bunting to just revamp that secondary, which was a big problem for them last year. But the biggest addition was Ohio State superstar wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr. is now an Arizona Cardinal. They picked him with the fifth overall pick in the draft. Arizona now has a dynamic number one wide receiver for the first time since DeAndre Hopkins left to go with Kyler Murray and make that offense even more dynamic. And also watch out for Trey McBride. This is a tight end that not a lot of people know about, but he's a very good pass catching tight end. And I think Arizona with him and with their great kicker in Matt Prater, I think they can do a lot of good things. And then the Rams, Matthew Stafford is back. We don't know how he's going to hold up health-wise. But the Rams, they made a lot of moves this offseason. The Rams went out and they bolstered their offensive line in the draft. The Rams, they really did a lot of great stuff this year. The Rams went and they added also Jared Verse, a linebacker, in free agency. They added Jimmy Garoppolo, Taylor, our former quarterback with the Niners. And also, but the big loss for the LA Rams was the loss of Aaron Donald, who retired from the NFL, which is going to be huge, and that's going to affect their defense big time. So, Taylor, for me, I'm going to go with the Niners. I think definitely the Niners are the best in the NFC West. They're in the class of their own. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I think the Niners are the best team in the NFC and maybe even in the NFL. The Seahawks, I think the defense, which was bad, it's a good thing they hired Mike McDonald because he's a very good defensive coach, but it's going to take time for them to fix their defense. I don't think Geno Smith is the right quarterback. I think they have to go out and get another powerful quarterback that can throw the ball down the field. And also the Rams, losing Aaron Donald is going to hurt because he was really a big part of their defense. That's like the Niners losing Christian McCaffrey. It's just going to be a huge blow to them, and it's something that you can't really recover from. So I know they have Matthew Stafford, but I think that defense sadly is going to stink this season. I don't think they're going to be very good. The team that I'm watching out for, Taylor, is the Arizona Cardinals. Like last year, they were supposed to be really bad. They were supposed to only win like 1 or 2 games. They won 4 games, but they should have really won 6 or 7. They were very competitive in a lot of their games. Their defense is, it's a work in progress, but that offense with dynamic players and Kyler Murray, their quarterback, who can run and throw the football on the run as well, and also Marvin Harrison Jr., who's a freaking wide receiver. I think he's the second coming of Larry Fitzgerald. And then they have a good running back in James Conner, who's very powerful, as well as they have, Trey McBride, a very underrated young tight end that Kyler can get the ball to. I think Arizona finishes 2 in that division. So I think it goes Niners, Cardinals number 2, Rams number 3, and Seahawks number 4. But I think the Rams and Seahawks will battle for number 3 and number 4. So Taylor, how about you? Are you going with the Niners, your favorite team to win it, or are you going to surprise us with a different team?
I'm hands down. I'm going with the Niners definitely. Like you said, they still have all those key pieces. They've got new coaching staff. They bolstered the defense. They're definitely going to win the division for sure. Can't deny this, Isaiah. The Cardinals, I think they're definitely going to take second. Like you said, with the addition of Marvin Harrison Jr., he sounds like a great receiver, and he has the potential to be, and we'll get to him later. But Marvin Harrison is definitely a great receiver. I'm gonna swap positions for the Rams and Seahawks. I'll put the Seahawks in third, because the Seahawks. I mean, with Geno Smith, I'm gonna say he's gonna be hit or miss at least. And the Rams, of course, I have dead last. Not because I hate them, or I don't know. I'll get to that later. But not only did they lose Aaron Donald to retirement, but you're also missing a bunch of key pieces due to injury. Like you, for example, Puka Nakua. He's gonna miss the first 4 to 6 games with I think a leg injury or something. And he set a lot of records for a rookie last year, and the Rams they're not going to have him for the first month and a half or so. Cooper Kupp, I don't know if he can be hit or miss too.
He's getting old too. He's getting very old.
Oh yeah, Cooper Kupp. Yeah, he's gotten old. Cooper Kupp's getting old, and obviously with Puka Nakua out, there probably isn't many reliable targets for Matthew Stafford to throw to. But in any event, I would definitely have to go with the Niners winning the division, followed by the Cardinals, and then the Seahawks and the Rams finish dead last.
Yeah, definitely. Let's go to our NFC wild cards. So in the divisions, I have the Giants, the Falcons, the Packers, and the 49ers winning their divisions. So for the wild cards, I'm going to go with the Lions to be one of the wild cards because I think the Lions are just too talented to miss the playoffs as a whole. I think they'll get the wild card. I think it's going to be a very fun race in the NFC North. It's going to be a very close race, but Detroit, I like Jared Goff. Dan Campbell with the eating kneecaps thing. Like, he's just a great coach. I love him. And that defense, I think, will be a lot better with the additions that they made. And the offense as well with Jahmyr Gibbs, who was a rookie last year, in another year in the NFL. So I got the Lions being number 1 in the wild card. Then I got the Philadelphia Eagles, Taylor. I think the Eagles, they'll make the playoffs even though they're dysfunctional, but they're going to make the playoffs because they have a lot of talent. I think they're going to make the playoffs just because, you have Jalen Hurts, you have Saquon Barkley, you have A.J. Brown, you have Devontae Smith, you have the guys on defense, but I just don't trust their defense, and they don't have the team chemistry really to go far in these playoffs, and I don't don't be surprised if Nick Sirianni, their head coach, is fired at the end of the season because there's just too much dysfunction going on there in Philadelphia. And then last but not least, this might come as somewhat of a shocker to you. I'm going to go with the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals make the playoffs every year in the NFL. There's always at least a couple surprises that you're just like, what? How did they come out? Where did they come from? I think the Cardinals will be one of the big surprises in the NFL. Like Kyler Murray's back. He's a year removed from that torn ACL. I think he's going to be a lot better. They have the weapons with Marvin Harrison Jr., who's going to be a superstar wide receiver. James Conner is a very powerful veteran running back who's very good. And then Trey McBride is very good at tight end. Like, I think the Cardinals are going to have one of the best offenses in the NFL. And then the defense, like, they just need the defense to get a few stops. And I think the Cardinals will be able to be good to go. So I'm going to go with the Cardinals as my last wild cards. I'm going with the Lions, the Eagles, and the Cardinals as my wild card teams. Taylor, for you, your division winners are the New York Giants, the Atlanta Falcons, the Chicago Bears, and the San Francisco 49ers. Who do you have as your 3 wild card picks for the NFC this year?
Well, Isaiah, I will take those 3 teams, but I'm going to switch the order. I'll make the Cardinals the top wild card team because, like you said, the resurgence of Kyler Murray and all the big guns they have, especially like I said with Marvin Harrison Jr. As I said, he has the potential to be a superstar wide receiver, and maybe as I was mentioning when I was talking about the Rams, with Puka Nacua being out. Well, I think Marvin Harrison kind of has the potential to be this year's Puka Nacua because I think he just might shatter those break Puka's records and potentially be not just him, but also a new Larry Fitzgerald or DeAndre Hopkins. And the Cardinals they're going to sneak in that way with all the weapons. The second wild card, I'll probably go with the Lions, with the Detroit Lions. Because with all the guys like they've got a good tight end in Sam Laporta. Jared Goff with the new contract is probably going to be better than ever. And I don't know how many times Jared Goff hooked up with Sam Laporta last year, but I think the Lions are going to get in that way. And then I'll put the Eagles third because even with all the animosity between the head coach and players like for example the animosity between Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts, I think they're probably just barely going to make it. So, I mean, the Eagles, despite all the challenges they have off the field, I think they're going to be fine on the field. So those are my 3 wild cards in that order.
Yeah, I love it. So let's get to our AFC and NFC championship game matchup predictions, and then we'll get to our Super Bowl matchups and winner before we go into our Week 1 picks and then wrap up the show. So for our AFC championship, you can just give me the matchup. You don't have to give me. You can give me the winner for the Super Bowl, but for the AFC championship game pick, Taylor, this is very, very tough because for me, my playoff teams in the AFC are the Jets, the Jaguars, the Steelers, the Chargers, the Chiefs, the Broncos, and the Ravens. I'm going to go with the Jets and Aaron Rodgers hosting Justin Herbert and the Los Angeles Chargers in the AFC Championship. I think that's going to be the AFC Championship, Jets at Chargers. I love what the Chargers are doing with Jim Harbaugh. I love what the Jets are doing with Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be on revenge mode this season. So a hungry Aaron Rodgers is someone you don't want to face anytime, anywhere, any place. So I'm going to go Chargers at Chiefs Chargers at Jets for my AFC championship. And then for my NFC championship, I have so my playoff teams in the NFC are the Giants, the Falcons, the Packers, the Niners, the Lions, the Cardinals, and the Philadelphia Eagles. Taylor, I'm going to go with the Falcons at the 49ers as my NFC championship. I think Kirk Cousins really helps make that Falcons offense and that talent on offense explode with all the weapons that they have. And then the Niners, they're just the best team in the NFL. So I think they're going to get in and breeze their way into the playoffs. So I got Chargers, Jets, and I got Falcons, 49ers as my AFC championship and my NFC championship. How about you? Start in the AFC first.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you on that, Isaiah. I think the Jets and Chargers will definitely be the matchup for the AFC Championship. So I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if obviously I wouldn't be surprised if the Chargers get the home field advantage there, because the Jets, if they make it to the all the way to the championship game, there's always they're probably going to have the odds against them, but all this potential. These are definitely going to be two Cinderella story teams that are probably going to be great for the AFC, and potentially with the trip to the Super Bowl on the line. As for the NFC, I'm gonna say the Niners. I'll say the Niners are gonna play the I'm gonna make it a shocker here. I'm gonna put one of the wild card teams, the Arizona Cardinals. We're gonna make it an all NFC West NFC Championship game. I think Kyler Murray he's back. He's probably going to be better than ever, and I think he's going to be just good enough to get the Cardinals back to the championship game, potentially even the Super Bowl. Hopefully it doesn't happen, though. Hopefully the Niners can beat the Cardinals, but I wouldn't be surprised if Kyler Murray leads them back.
I love it. I love that pick that you have there, Taylor. But going into the Super Bowl, the Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans this year. So for the Super Bowl, I got Chargers, Jets, NFC or AFC Championship, and I got Falcons, 49ers, NFC Championship. So Taylor, for my Super Bowl matchup prediction, I'm going to go with the Chargers against the 49ers. It's going to be the rematch of the 1995 Super Bowl, but this time will be the LA Chargers instead of the San Diego Chargers versus the San Francisco 49ers. Jim Harbaugh, I trust him over Robert Saleh, the Jets head coach. Jim Harbaugh and Justin Herbert will lead the Chargers to the Super Bowl this year. And the 49ers, I like the Falcons. I think they're a good team, but the Niners just have more talent on offense and defense. And I think that Kyle Shanahan is a better coach than Falcons' new coach, Raheem Morris. So I'm going to go with Chargers at 49ers. And Taylor, I think this is the year. This is the year for our Niners to break through and get our 6th Lombardi trophy. And I think the Niners will beat the Chargers just like they did in 1995. It's going to be deja vu all over again. And it's going to be another quarterback having a great game in this matchup. I think Brock Purdy throws for 4 touchdowns and he wins Super Bowl MVP, and the San Francisco 49ers bring home our 6th Lombardi trophy, and all the heartbreak from the previous years are all going to be gone. So I'm going to go Chargers, Niners, Super Bowl. Niners win the Super Bowl, and the Brock Purdy wins Super Bowl MVP. How about you, Taylor?
I'm with you on that, Isaiah. I mean, rematch of 95, because in fact, here's a fun fact. I was born shortly after that game. I was born in that following June. But yeah, I have a feeling, yes, it's going to be Chargers, 49ers. I think it's definitely going to be Brock Purdy outdueling Justin Herbert and winning the Super Bowl MVP. and the Niners bringing home Super Bowl number 6. And so I can't deny that. And if all those years of heartbreak, they're going to be history finally.
And fun fact about if that is the Super Bowl matchup, we can't forget Jim Harbaugh versus his former team and Jim Harbaugh versus Kyle Shanahan. I mean, the storylines for that game will be just epic. But so me and Taylor both have Chargers versus Niners, with the Niners winning and Brock Purdy winning Super Bowl MVP for the San Francisco 49ers. Let's get into our week 1 picks, because week 1 is officially upon us. Week 1 officially begins in about 15 hours from now, 16 hours from now. We'll just quickly get into week 1 of the 2024 NFL season. We have the schedule right over here, as you can see. Taylor, let's start with the game on Thursday. Tomorrow, we got the Ravens at the Kansas City Chiefs. It's going to be a 5:20 p.m. Pacific time start on NBC. It's at Arrowhead. But Taylor, I'm going with the upset. I think the Chiefs are going to have a Super Bowl hangover this year. I think their defense got lucky. I know the Chiefs are going to, they have their banner night, but the Ravens are pissed off from what happened last year in the AFC Championship. They felt like they deserved to win. I think the Ravens come out hungry. Lamar Jackson puts on a show. Patrick Mahomes puts on a show. I think it's going to be a great game, but I think in the end, I got the Ravens squeaking out a win at Arrowhead over the Chiefs by a final score of I'll go 27 to 23. I think it's going to be a really close game. How about you?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the upset too. It may be close, but in the end, I'll say the Ravens get the last laugh because, like I said, I mean, we can agree on, the Chiefs are probably going to have that dreaded Super Bowl hangover, and I think this is going to be the Ravens are gonna turn the tables on the Chiefs' home turf. The Ravens are gonna turn the tables.
All right. How about we go to our Friday game? We have a Friday game for the first time, this time in Brazil. We got Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers playing Jalen Hurts and the Eagles. The Eagles are trying to bounce back from their collapse last season and trying to just get rid of all the dysfunction that's going on. But Taylor, I'm going to go with the Packers. I just think the Eagles, they have too much discomfort. There's dysfunction. There's too much issues between the coach and the quarterback. There's a lack of trust there. I know the Eagles brought in Vic Fangio to be the defensive coordinator, but the defense was so bad last year, it can't be fixed overnight. And Jordan Love is a dynamic player with dynamic weapons. I just think the Packers are they're more in sync. So I'm going to go with the Packers over the Eagles. I just also don't trust Jalen Hurts throwing the ball because he's just not that good of a passer, and you have to be a good passer to win in the NFL. So I'm going Green Bay in this game.
Yeah, I think the Packers are probably gonna win, but I say they're just barely gonna eke it out because, I mean, even with all the animosity and all that stuff on the Eagles sidelines, it's probably going to stay close, and I think it's probably going to come down to the last play, and one team is going to kick a field goal. It's probably going to be the Packers though, because I think, yeah, because they're, like I said, they're very dysfunctional in Philadelphia. I say the Packers are going to win it on a last minute field goal.
All right. Then we have the Sunday slate of games where we have the Steelers visiting the Falcons, new quarterbacks in both cities with Russell Wilson in Pittsburgh and Kirk Cousins in Atlanta. Taylor, I'll go to you first on this. Do you think Russell Wilson and the Steelers pull it off on the road, or do you think Kirk Cousins in his debut in Atlanta managed to pull off the victory?
This is tough. I'm probably gonna have to go with Kirk Cousins because, I mean, it's always good to christen your home. Get your first win on your home turf. That'll definitely set the tone for the season. And with for Kirk Cousins, I'm pretty sure the fans in Atlanta are going to love him. And if he plays well, then he's definitely going to earn their trust. So I got to go with the Falcons on this one.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think this is very tough, but in the end, I'm going to go with the home team. Give me the Falcons to win this one. I think that both quarterbacks are going to have good games, but I think in the end, it comes down to like last second heroics, and I'm going to go with Kirk Cousins to pull it out for the Falcons over Russell Wilson and the Steelers. Let's go to the Titans at the Bears. Caleb Williams makes his NFL debut. Brian Callahan, the new coach of the Titans, he makes his debut there. Taylor, I'm going to go with the Bears. I think the Bears crowd is going to be roaring. It's going to be crazy there. Caleb Williams and the Bears that are going to be having that home energy. And the Titans, they're a decent team, but I think the Bears, they have too much offensive firepower to be able to lose this game. So give me the Bears to win this game. How about you?
Yeah, Bears definitely. Yeah, they're like their slogan says, "Bear down," and that's definitely what they're going to do in front of their home fans at Soldier Field. I think Caleb Williams is definitely going to rise to the occasion, and it's Bears. They have to win this game, especially in front of dozens of screaming fans at Soldier Field. So I think the Bears have this one.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. The next one, we go to a great battle in the AFC South with the Texans at the Colts. This literally game last year came down to a dropped easy pass by the Colts receiver that gave the Texans the win. Taylor, who are you going? This is another very tough game. The Texans at the Colts, CJ Stroud beginning year 2, Anthony Richardson beginning year 2. It should be very fun. But are you going with the Texans, or do you think the Colts pull it off at home?
I think the Texans will have this one. I'm pretty sure CJ Stroud is going to avoid the sophomore slump and start it off on the right foot because, and then like we said earlier, for him finally to have an elite receiver in Stephon Diggs, and barring any temper tantrums that he throws, they're probably gonna be a dynamic duo all season long.
For me, I'm going to go with the Colts, but I think it's going to be a close game. These two teams always play each other tough. I don't know if the Texans can stop Anthony Richardson on the run, and I think that's what really scares me. So I think that's going to be the difference maker in that game. So I'm going to go with the Colts. Let's go with the final 1 p.m. game on the left column with the Panthers of the Saints. Dave Canales making his debut for the Panthers as their head coach. Derek Carr and the Saints trying to bounce back. Taylor, I think I'm gonna go with the upset. I'm gonna go with the Panthers. I think Bryce Young is gonna be better than he was last season. I just don't trust Derek Carr. He just hasn't been the same ever since he got injured with the Raiders. That defense for New Orleans, they're tough, but there were a lot of mistakes last year. And I think Dave Canales, he's a very good quarterback developer. And I think it will show in week 1 when the Panthers go into New Orleans and stun the Saints. So I'm going to go with the Panthers. How about you?
No, not me. I think Derek Carr, this is probably going to be one of his better games to start the season. I think he's going to bounce back in week 1, and I think it's gonna probably christen the Superdome with the first win, first game of the season. I think that's how it's probably going to be that way.
All right, and then we go to the right column. So we go to the 1 p.m. games. The Cardinals at the Bills. Cardinals very talented, like we mentioned. Bills, Josh Allen lost a bunch of receivers. Taylor, I'm going to go with the Cardinals. I think they pull off the upset because Arizona wasn't bad last year. They got Marvin Harrison Jr. They're going to be, I think, a great team like a lot of people aren't expecting. The Bills just lost too many pieces. Josh Allen doesn't have weapons. I think that dysfunction shows in week 1. So I think it's going to be a great battle between these two teams. But in the end, I'm going to go with Kyler Murray and the Cardinals to pull out a stunner in Buffalo.
Yeah, for sure. Kyler, two-star quarterbacks, but I believe Kyler Murray's definitely going to get the last laugh. And I mean, even for the Cardinals from playing in a hot, humid dome stadium to a cold, snowy stadium in upstate New York. I think I mean, even for the climate change, I would definitely say the Cardinals are going to pull this one out. And Kyler Murray's, and I mean, I think it is going to be close, but I think as luck would have it, they're gonna win on probably a last second field goal or some play like that.
Yeah, I love it. Let's go to Patriots at Bengals. New England's beginning a new era. No Bill Belichick. It's Gerard Mayo, and now they go into Cincinnati to face Joe Burrow and the Bengals. Taylor, I just think Joe Burrow is going to be too much for the Patriots. I don't like the Patriots lost a lot of pieces on defense. They lost their star pass rusher in Judon to the Falcons. They're rebuilding, so it's going to take time. So I think I got the Bengals, and I got the Bengals to blow out the Patriots. I don't think this game is going to be that close. How about you?
Yeah, Isaiah. I think Joe Burrow's really going to be a handful for the Patriots. Yeah, I'd say it. In fact, on that note, you mentioned a blowout. I'll say it's going to be a shutout for the Bengals. I mean the Patriots are probably not going to get a single point on the board. So yeah, I mean I'm guessing Joe Burrow and the Bengals are going to goose egg the Patriots. Sorry, Loro. Sorry, Ben, but I think your Patriots are not as good as they used to be.
No, and they have a lot of changes with Bill Belichick no longer there and Tom Brady retired. So it's definitely going to be a new era for them. How about Jaguars at Dolphins? This is battle for Florida. Jaguars Dolphins. Very good game. Trevor Lawrence versus Tua Tagovailoa. Two great offenses and two great offensive coaches going at it. In Mike McDaniel versus Doug Peterson. Taylor, I'll give you the floor first for this. Do you think the Jags will win, or do you think the Dolphins will win in this battle for the Florida?
Um, well, I think Tua still has a lot to learn. I mean, I'll say this game is going to be close, but I think the Jaguars are going to get the last laugh because they've got. I mean, they've got. Well, I don't know if their quarterback has any more experience or just about the same amount of experience as Tua. But I think this is going to be a fight to the finish. But I think it's going to be the Jaguars by a nose.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is going to be like one of the best games of week one, the Jaguars and the Dolphins. I really suggest you guys all to watch this game because it's just so fun. It's going to shape up to be a great game. But I'm going to go with the Jaguars. I think the Jaguars are hungry to get the bitter taste of like what happened out of their mouth. I think Trevor Lawrence will have a great game. I don't trust the Dolphins defense. So I think it's going to be a shootout between the Jags and the Dolphins. And Taylor, I think this game is actually going to be like a really high scoring, like into the 30-point type of game. Like I think it's going to be like 34-31. I don't think we're going to see a lot of defense in this game because these two offenses are just really good, and both Trevor Lawrence and Tua are just really good quarterbacks. So I'm going to go with the Jaguars, but like you, I'm going to go with the Jaguars to win it very, very close. So how about Vikings at Giants in New York, 1 p.m. Eastern time? Giants, they have Daniel Jones back. The Vikings, they're starting Sam Darnold. Taylor, I'm going to go with a shocker. I think Minnesota goes into New York and wins it because I don't trust Daniel Jones. I haven't been impressed with him all offseason and even since he's been in the league. The Vikings have a decent defense. They can run the ball, but these two teams are just kind of like meh teams. So like one team has to win it. I don't trust like either teams, but the Vikings have Justin Jefferson and the Giants don't have that dynamic playmaker. So I think Justin Jefferson will be the difference maker in this game. And I think that's why the Vikings are going to end up pulling out the victory in New York. How about you?
Well, Isaiah, I think I mean, these two teams that are, like you said, on the outs, not quite there yet. But as I said before, the Giants quarterback I think has the potential to become the next Eli Manning. So I think it's going. I think I think it's going to be a close game, but might be a little low scoring. I think it's going to be the Giants just barely eking it out.
All right, so we go to the 1 o'clock games here, the 4 p.m. Eastern time games. It's going to be very exciting games. The Raiders and their new head coach, Antonio Pierce, face Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers in Los Angeles with Justin Herbert. Taylor, I'm going to go with the Chargers, and I'm going to go with the Chargers to win it pretty big. I think Jim Harbaugh wants to send a message that the culture in LA with the Chargers is different, that the time of the Chargers losing again is done, and that Justin Herbert, he's going to go off on that Raiders defense. I don't trust that Raiders defense at all. If you have Justin Herbert in fantasy football, I suggest you start him. The Raiders don't have a quarterback. I think Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa are just going to eat up Gardner Minshew all day and force him into bad mistakes. So I'm going to go with the Chargers, and I think they win it big over the Raiders. How about you?
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be a blowout for the Chargers because Justin Herbert is definitely going to go dish out a lot of touchdowns and with, like you said, with two elite defensive players in Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa, they're definitely going to be a lot for Gardner Minshew to deal with. And I mean, the Raiders, if they even score, they'll probably be lucky to get at least a field goal, if not a touchdown or two, or maybe even a couple field goals. I mean, they'll just be lucky to get a few points. So I think this is definitely going to be a blowout for the Chargers.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Then we go to Broncos at Seahawks, which is a rematch of Super Bowl 48. Bo Nix is making his debut for the Broncos. The Seahawks have a new coach in Mike McDonald. A new era begins in Seattle. Taylor, I'm going to go with Bo Nix and the Broncos. I was very blown away by Bo Nix in preseason. He went into Lambeau Field and just dominated the Green Bay Packers. I know Seattle's a different environment. It's louder, but he's got Sean Payton with him. So I don't think he has to worry really much about the crowd noise. I think Sean Payton's going to put him in great positions to succeed. And the Seahawks defense was awful last year. I mean, they gave up so much rushing yards. They gave up a lot of passing yards. Their secondary was awful. I think Bo Nix just throttles the Seahawks defense in his debut, and he looks dynamic in his first game there. And I think the thing with the Seahawks is Geno Smith is not that good of a quarterback, and Denver has a really good defense. I think that's a recipe for disaster. Like, I think the Broncos defense will just go off on the Seahawks offense, and it's going to be a long day for them. So I'm going to go with Denver.
Me too, Isaiah. Yeah, Bo Nix sounds like he and of course, while not only the environment in both stadiums are different, not only is it louder in Seattle and of course the air is obviously thicker than it is at Mile High in Denver, but I say all these players who are used to the high altitude for the Broncos are definitely going. I mean, and they probably won't have any problem with the thicker air and the lower altitude in Seattle. But I think Bo Nix is probably going to get his first win.
Definitely. Let's go to the final two games for Sunday, the final three games for Sunday before we go to me and Taylor's matchup, our team's matchup on Monday Night Football. We got the Cowboys and we got the Browns. Tom Brady's actually making his debut for Fox as a commentator now for them. He's going to be announcing that game. Taylor, I think this is a very good game. Deshaun Watson versus Dak Prescott, two good quarterbacks going at it. It's in Cleveland, so the Browns fans are going to be going crazy in that game. I'm going to go with the Browns. They have a really good defense. I don't like what the Cowboys did this offseason. Like, their top running back right now is a washed-up Ezekiel Elliott, and that's not a good thing whatsoever. I think that, when you don't have a running game that puts a lot of pressure on Dak Prescott, and the Browns have really good pass rushers to go after that Dallas weak offensive line. So I'm going to go with the Browns. I think the Browns win this game by like 10 points. How about you?
Yeah, I'll say the Browns have this one too. Um, you know, yeah, Dak Prescott against Deshaun Watson. Yeah, they're two elite quarterbacks, but for Dak Prescott to throw to a washed up Ezekiel Elliott, oh man, that's probably dysfunction waiting to happen. So I think the Browns have this one in the bag.
All right, and then we go to a really interesting matchup to end the afternoon slate of games. The Washington Commanders and their new quarterback, their rookie quarterback, Jaden Daniels from LSU, plays at Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think this is going to be a close game. It's going to be like one of those like coin flip type of games. Taylor, I'll go to you first on this. Do you have the Commanders or do you have the Bucks? I know this is very, very tough to pick.
It is tough, Isaiah, but I think I think the Buccaneers are just barely going to get by because I mean even with the newly re-signed Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans, they're probably going to give up. I'll say this game is going to be a shootout, but I think the Buccaneers are going to get the last laugh.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Buccaneers too. I think Jaden Daniels is going to have a good game, both running the ball and throwing the ball, but I just don't think the defense will be able to hold up for Washington, and that's why the Commanders will ultimately lose. So give me the Bucks in this game. And then we go to Sunday Night Football where Matthew Stafford and the Rams visit Detroit. He goes back to Detroit. It's a rematch of their playoff matchup last year on NBC. Taylor, this is tough because the Rams played the Lions tough. The Lions have a really good team, but I'm going to go with Detroit. I think the Lions, they just have too much talent. I think the Rams losing Aaron Donald is going to hurt right away. Detroit, they're really good at running the ball. They're really good at doing a lot of play action stuff. So you need that dynamic pass rusher in the middle, and the Rams don't have that. So give me Detroit to win this game. I think it's going to be close, but I think Detroit ultimately pulls away.
Yeah, Detroit definitely is going to take this one because I mean, yeah, they had a close game last season, and of course, no more Aaron Donald, and not to mention the injuries to Puka Nakua and an aging Cooper Cup, and I think and if I remember last year in the playoffs, it was Puka Nakua that scored a touchdown that got the Rams to within a few points, but still wasn't enough. And now he's out for the first 4 to 6 weeks with a knee injury. So, and not to mention, with Jared Goff and Sam Laporta among many others, I think the Lions are probably going to pull this one out.
Yeah, I agree with all the points that you made. Sam Laporta, he's going to be one of the difference makers in this game, and I think I'm very excited to see what he does in this game. But going to the last game, and that is me and Taylor's game, the Jets at our 49ers at Levi Stadium at 5:15 p.m. Pacific time here on Monday night. Aaron Rodgers versus Brock Purdy, Robert Saleh versus Kyle Shanahan. I think this is Taylor, this is going to be a lot closer than a lot of people think, because a lot of people think, oh, the Niners are going to just kick Aaron Rodgers' butt. No, I think the Niners are in for a battle. I think that when you play Aaron Rodgers, it's going to be a tough battle. I'm going to go with the Niners, but I think it's going to be a close game. Like, I think Brock Purdy, he needs to be careful because the Jets have a really good pass rush, so he's got to get the ball out quick. I hope the Niners can establish the running game with Christian McCaffrey. But the Jets have a really good defense, so the Niners cannot afford to turn the ball over. Especially, you cannot give extra possessions to Aaron Rodgers, because if you do, you're in deep trouble. So, I think the Niners and the Jets, it's going to be like a defensive game in the first quarter, but I think both quarterbacks turn it on in the second quarter and on. So, I'm going to go Niners 27 to 24. I think it's going to be a closer battle than a lot of people think. But how about you?
Yeah, I can't deny that. It's gonna be a close game. Yeah, but like you said, the defense it's probably going to be a defensive battle in the first quarter. Then in the second quarter, that's when they start to turn on the offense. And I'll take your word. The Jets defense is you know you can't afford to give Aaron Rodgers the ball because
Hey,
you know
Taylor, the Jets defense was ranked number 2 last year in the entire NFL, so they're really good.
Yeah, but yeah, and another reason why you can't turn it over to them, nor give Aaron Rodgers free possessions, because like you said, if you do that too much, eventually you're dead meat, and we don't. But I think like you said, it's going to be a defensive battle for the first 15 minutes, and then the offense will take it the rest of the way. But I think it's going to be it's I'll say it's going to be like I said, Niners by 3.
Yeah, me too. I got Niners by 3 as well, but football is officially back, guys. That's all the week 1 slate of games. You heard my predictions. You heard Taylor's predictions. We're both super excited for the start of the 2024 season, which kicks off tomorrow night. Taylor, one more prediction before we go into our final thoughts and head out for the night is who do you think will be the first NFL coach fired this season? I know I'll give you some time to think on it, but for me, you know what? I'm actually gonna go with a shocker pick. I'm gonna go with I. I'm gonna go with the Buffalo Bills. I think Sean McDermott, he gets fired because I don't think the Bills are gonna make the playoffs, and the Bills are a loaded team. And if you don't even make the playoffs, like that's a major disappointment. That's like Aaron Boone with the Yankees. It's like a situation where he's not a bad coach, but you have to at least make the playoffs. If you don't make the playoffs, like you're gonna be fired. So I'm gonna go with Sean McDermott of the Bills. I think the Bills finally fire him and get rid of him after he's been there for 9 years, and I think that's just a long time for coaches. I think sometimes having like a fresh start at head coach, I think is like a really good. It's a really good thing for a team. How about you?
Well, given all the animosity and turmoil between the head coach, I believe his name's Nick of the Eagles,
Nick Sirianni. Nick
Nick
Sirianni.
Sirianni. Yeah, given all the turmoil between him and Jalen Hurts on the Eagles, I think he's going to be the first to go because all the with all the turmoil, if it's probably if it gets out of hand, then they're going to say goodbye to him right away.
Yeah, I can't agree more with you on that. I think Sirianni's definitely on the hot seat. I also think Mike McCarthy's on the hot seat because this is the last year of his contract, and Jerry Jones hasn't given him an extension yet. So I think if he doesn't go to the NFC Championship game, I think he's going to be gone. And I don't even have the Cowboys making the playoffs. So I think bold prediction, Taylor. I think Bill Belichick will coach the Cowboys next season because the Cowboys are a team that's win now, and you have like arguably the greatest coach in the NFL out there on the market. So I think Jerry Jones and him and Bill Belichick and Jerry Jones are like similar in age as well. So it makes a lot of sense for that to happen. But yeah, it's been a great show. Appreciate everybody for tuning in to our show tonight. So fired up to get the 2024 NFL season on the roll. But Taylor, what's your final thoughts for tonight's show before we wrap it up? And if you have any like announcements for future of Face Off, you can go ahead and say it here.
Yeah, for sure. It's been a great show. Sorry for the technical difficulties, Loro. I mean, and then I say tune in for Face Off for all the hockey news. I say I'll plan for I think probably sometime between September 22nd and the 30th. So.
All right, yeah, we'll have Face Off back. Hockey season is going to come back soon enough. Taylor, I can't wait to see Macklin Celebrini in San Jose. I was there in Vegas when he was drafted by the Sharks. It's just very exciting. And your Ducks also got, I believe, Bennett Seneke from the number 3 overall pick. So yeah, it's going to be crazy and fascinating to see like all these rookies play. But yeah, it's been a great show. Definitely appreciate everybody for tuning in. Loro and Ben, sorry that you guys weren't able to join. Hopefully you guys can, comment your predictions down so we can see it and kind of just match it later on in the year. But for the next extra point show, we're going to try to do one on Monday night or Tuesday night after the NFL week 1 to try to break it all down. But obviously it depends on our schedule, but we're going to make it happen. I promise you, like week 1, we're going to do a show for extra point. So make sure you guys tune in for that. But it's been a great show. Taylor, do you have any like other things you want to add before we close up for tonight?
Nope, that's it.
All right, yeah, it's gonna be a great show. Go Niners, right, Taylor? Go Niners. Can't wait for the football season, and yeah, man, the season starts tomorrow, and yeah, the road to the Lombardi Trophy begins tomorrow, and we can't wait. So, have a good night, everybody, and enjoy the 2024 NFL season.
Third and 29. Jones steps up, tries to avoid it, buys some time. Jones uncorks, deep ball, touchdown on the ricochet. Purdy back to throw, pressure coming, steps away, looking to run, and he walks it in for the touchdown. Throw on 4th and 18. He's given time. He wants Jefferson. Justin Jefferson. Jacobs with running room right up the middle. Jacobs is on his way. The Raiders are going to win this game. Lays it up. Intercepted Trayvon Diggs. Guess who? To McCaffrey right up the middle, and it's stiff arm. McCaffrey for 6.
Bang, bang, not a game.